published over 130 research papers, guided 21 Ph.Ds and 3 LLD scholars, and represented India in over 30 countries. We are deeply honored to have you with us, sir. So now I request sir to kindly address the research scholars.
What a noble place. And he was interviewed for about 30 minutes, and at the end of the interview he asked a question. Mr. Wheeler, why do you think students exist in the universities? Why should students be there in the universities? Immediately Wheeler said, students are there to teach professors. How beautifully he expressed it. Students are there in the universities to teach professors. And Wheeler was referring to the example of Amartya Sen. Amartya, even now he says, when he writes and finishes a manuscript, he sends that manuscript to his students in the class for final verification. And only when the students vet it and certify it, Amartya will be sending it for publication. Now that's the symbiotic relationship between the teacher and the students. And therefore, I request my young colleagues to consider the most fertile place for research in the classroom. And immediately after you complete the class, what you are supposed to do is come back, sit for 10 minutes in a tranquil mood, recollect whatever has happened in the classroom, including the questions that were put by students. The reason being, the answers of students may reflect their knowledge, but the questions raised by them reflect their thinking capacity. Please remember that. The answers of the students may reflect their knowledge, but the questions raised by them reflect their thinking capacity. And Shashi Tharoor beautifully says, the distinction between school education and university education is, in school education you are taught to answer the questions. In university education you should be taught to question the answers. Because in research, in finding a solution to your hypothesis, you will be raising 9 questions. Remember, in finding one answer you will be raising 9 questions. And the questioning capacity is the most important quality. Be that as it may, today I will speak to you on research and ethics. And my mind immediately goes back to Nelson Mandela. The reason being, 10th May in 1994 was the day on which the apartheid regime came to an end and Nelson Mandela took over as the head of the government in South Africa. All the world leaders were there in South Africa on 10th May. But how Mandela is relevant to our topic? Mandela said, quoting Mahatma Gandhi, research means pursuit of truth. Why should you pursue truth? Mandela quotes Jesus and says, Jesus says, truth liberates and therefore you have to pursue it. Why you pursue truth? Truth liberates, and that liberation is an experience not to be explained but to be experienced. That moment when you do the research, remember, the psychological satisfaction you experience is something which can never be translated into words. And perhaps that's what is called the eureka moment in research. Our school teachers must have explained to us that Archimedes jumped with joy, okay, when he found something about the density, and he started running naked. Now that is symbolic. Now, why school teachers explain to us that Archimedes ran naked is, at this level, you must understand, not that he was running with his clothes. He was so excited. And once you feel excited, remember what Oscar Wilde said in one context. Knowledge always starts with a question mark and ends with an exclamation mark. Knowledge always starts with a question mark and ends with an exclamation mark. And when you get the joy, that eureka moment you call it. So philosophically they say when you find a new thing, the amount of satisfaction you have psychologically cannot be translated into words. And therefore they said Archimedes ran naked so that the school students would listen to it with interest. Remember, as you grow in life, the meaning of lines keeps changing. I always tell my grandchildren that twinkle twinkle little star to you at your age would mean something, and the same poem to me at the age of 70 would mean something. Because the bracket of expectations keeps on changing. Now that's the reason why I said, if you're a lifelong learner, you try to understand Tennyson's poem, for men may come and men may go, but I go on forever, the book. Now that has a different meaning when you look at the context. And that is precisely the meaning of research. Research is not to discover a new fact. Research is discovering new ways of thinking about an old fact. Research is discovering new ways of thinking about an old fact. You cannot go on discovering. But what are the new ways of discovering? And therefore, in the relentless pursuit of truth, what is that you are supposed to do? From the ethical point of view, I will tell you, please remember, first, the meaning of the legal profession, to which we all belong. We may be academic lawyers. Legal profession is called a learned profession. I think you agree with me. The reason being, not because you are required to display learning. Legal profession is called a learned profession, not because you are required to display learning, but you are required to display exemplary conduct, which is the consequence and corollary of that learning. Have you understood that? Legal profession is called a learned profession because, not because you are required to display your learning, remember, but because you are required to display exemplary conduct, which is the consequence and corollary of that learning. Vedantia says, knowledge is that which gives you contentment and happiness. But if it adds to your arrogance and ego, it is not knowledge. If it adds to your ego and arrogance, it is not knowledge. But if it adds to your happiness and contentment, it is knowledge. And in research, you are going to acquire knowledge as to how you do it and what are the ethical standards you are required to maintain. That I will explain to you. And in the beginning I told you, remember, legal profession is called a learned profession. You are required to show exemplary conduct. And here I also quote L. Warren, former Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. One very interesting thing about the United States Supreme Court is, for a long time, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States used to be called the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. But in India, right from day one, he was called Chief Justice of India. Have you marked the difference? And Americans, after a long time, they said Indians are right. And okay, Indians are right, and now they call the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court Chief Justice of the United States. And for that, the model was India. L. Warren, the Chief Justice of the United States, was asked to address research students and students in Yale Law School. And he addressed them. And after he completed his address, a question was asked to him. My lord, if you are required to choose from among them, some of them are judicial officers in the United States, whom would you like to choose? You know what he gave the answer? They were gold medalists, okay? They were top rankers. He said, yes, I will take. Only qualification is, he must be a good human being who also knows a bit of law. This is the word he has used. He must be a good human being who also knows a bit of law. He did not say, I will take first class students. He did not say, I will take gold medalists. A good human being. Why? He said the limitation of law is that law cannot regulate the greed of human beings. Non-law can instill character in human beings. Regulating greed and instilling character in the domain of some other subject. And that's the reason why sociology teachers say law is not even the primary element of social control. The primary element of social control is parental control at home. But that attitude value like that it goes. And therefore he said, and Warren was giving the example of Rajat Gupta, who fell for the bite of insider trading and who coolly yields. Everything that a man can dream, can aspire for, Rajat Gupta had. He is from IIT Delhi. He did his masters in business administration from some other subject, from Premier University. He rubbed shoulders with page 3 people of Hollywood, not Times of India. He was among the regular invitees for the White House. Yet he fell for the bait. Okay. And how do you explain it? And therefore he said, I want a good human being. And those good human beings are nurtured and nourished in law schools and law colleges. And therefore, this is the first point you must remember when you embark upon the journey of your search for truth. I don't say research. Your search for truth, which is eternal. Okay? Now look at even the fundamental duties that I mentioned in the Constitution of India. We celebrate 75 years to strive towards excellence in every sphere of activity, both individually and collectively, so that the nation constantly rises to highest levels of achievement. What do you mean by excellence? Excellence in the product or excellence in the human being? I always say, getting the best Ph.D. research gold medal by plagiarizing a thesis, is it excellence? Getting an Olympic gold medal by doping, is it excellence? What doping is in Olympics, doping is in universities. How many sleepless nights you will be having if you have done an isolated act of going tangent for yourselves. And I love to tell my research scholars, the anti-plagiarism tool which we use to say whether it is 10%, 20%, 30%. It is called turn it in. Look at the title. Turn it in. See, just as when a teacher takes a class, should there be feedback from external factors? Once you come back to your chamber or your cubicle, you know how well you have performed. Unless you cheat your conscience. Okay. Now, when you have written a thesis, whether it is synthesis, antithesis or thesis, you know it. Okay. Therefore, the tool's name appropriately they have said is turn it in. Turn it inside yourself. Ask yourself the question, who are you cheating? Are you cheating your supervisor? Are you cheating your parents? Are you cheating yourself? Ultimate question will be, you are cheating yourself, isn't it? And it may haunt you for not only throughout your life, even beyond your tomb. I have seen more than 15 vice chancellors losing their jobs because of the fraud that they have committed in submitting their PhD thesis. Now if you look at the referred journals as to how many authors are being blacklisted, every day you get some of them winners of eminent prizes. Can you have sleepless night? See? Therefore, one 5-star hotel advertisement in Delhi T3 airport, it used to be there for a long time, it said, showing the bed on which an individual sleeps. The caption was, the most luxurious bed is not the bed in our hotel, but the bed of your conscience. The second line was, the most luxurious bed is the bed of your conscience. That means if you are with a clear conscience, you will sleep comfortably in our hotel. Otherwise, at 12 o'clock, if somebody knocks, you think that it is from CBI. You think that it is from enforcement agency. See, perpetually you have to live with that, isn't it? Therefore, going back to your fundamental duties, it is not excellence in the product, but excellence in the human being. It is required. Because as it is said, academic excellence without human excellence is disastrous. Academic excellence without human excellence is disastrous. First, be a good human being, and then start your pursuit of truth. And here, just 2 days ago, we celebrated the Jayanti of Rabindranath Tagore. Immediately, the poem that comes to your mind is where the mind is without fear. Okay. But in which volume of Rabindranath Tagore's poems, where the mind is without fear appears, and at what number? This question you ask, none of you will be able to answer. Rabindranath Tagore's Gitanjali is a wonderful foreword by W.B. Yeats, who himself was a great poet. And poem number 35 speaks about where the mind is without fear. Actually, it was originally written in Bengali, and later it was translated into English language. But our point here is, he has given us Vishwabharati, and he was speaking about research in one lecture. Tagore came to Andhra University to deliver a lecture called Man. How many of you know it? I do not know. Because when he came to deliver the lecture called Man, it was published by Andhra University Press. It used to be available for 1 rupee, subsidized. He sat in the ground floor of the law college, AU Law College building, in the ground floor to the left corner. Dr. D.S. Prakash knows, our stenographer B.R.K. Sharma used to sit. In that room, Rabindranath Tagore sat, and he was scribbling notes on Man. And he says, a researcher, for that matter a teacher in the university, should understand the basic difference between acquisition of knowledge and the assimilation of knowledge. Acquisition of knowledge and assimilation of knowledge. All of us have degrees. All of us have brains. All of us know the topic. If you are asked to speak on basic structure, you will speak it, yes. If you are asked to speak on Article 21, you will speak it. NDPS, you are delivering lectures to police. That means you have factual information to speak about that. But Tagore asks is, you may be a good speaker, but are you enjoying it when you are speaking? Or are you delivering the lecture because Professor Prakash has asked you to deliver the lecture? There are two ways of looking at it, isn't it? You would enjoy your lecture, he says, when there is assimilation of knowledge and not acquisition of knowledge. Assimilation of knowledge. And Tagore beautifully distinguishes between acquisition of knowledge and assimilation of knowledge. And he says, assimilation of knowledge means realization of inner truth. Realization of inner truth is assimilation of knowledge. Acquisition of knowledge means looking at a dictionary, looking at the letters, nothing more than that. So when you are reading, are you realizing that inner truth by reading between the lines? And that is what is important in research. I'm sure most of you have completed PhDs, who have guided PhDs. You must have had this joy of expression when you realize that you came to know a new thing. Or you would be so happy you would like to share coffee with you and others because you have come to know a new thing. How do you feel it? See, once in a blue moon, yes, that's enough. Daily you don't get it. Okay. But you enjoy it. That is called state of bliss. Right. What is called Ananda Brahma. Superlative. Okay, Satchidananda, that's what you call it. But the ultimate goal of research is that. Not your PhD degree. For God's sake. Not your APA score. Remember, degree is only incidental. Just as money is the fringe benefit of the job you like, acquisition of a degree is also incidental. Remember. And the degree, in the words of my Professor B.S. Murthy, is like a driving license which gives you the license to continue your research. Correct? After obtaining the driving license, you don't stop driving, isn't it? Once you obtain driving license, you get your 4 increments, you get your promotion, you stop driving. Okay, you legitimize your driving. PhD degree is also that. Therefore, remember, PhD coursework has a different connotation altogether. Now, till you have joined in PhD, your approach to your subject was reductionist. There is difference between reductionism and holism as far as study of subjects is concerned. REDUCTIONISM. Reductionism means oversimplification. Now, when you explain to a first year LLB student about Article 356, you would simply say constitutional breakdown revision. Okay. And if that happens, the union government has the power to come to the rescue of the polity by dismissing the government. Oh. That is an oversimplification. And if you oversimplify things continuously, you will miss the truth. So, you have to elevate yourself. That approach is called holistic. Holism. Started by South African General Marx. Holism is very interesting. Spelling is H-O-L-I-S-M, but the meaning says the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, W-H-O-L-E. I'll explain to you very simply. Now, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 4. That is arithmetic. Your school going child will tell you. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 4. That means the whole is equivalent to the sum of its parts. Correct that? One is a part, one is another part, one is, but the whole is equal to the sum of its parts. Constitution of India consists of 22 parts and 395 articles. But the Constitution of India does not mean part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. What you call constitutional ethos, constitutional philosophy, constitutionalism, you say. Professor Lakshmidar keeps always saying text of constitution and context of constitution. Okay, text, from text you have to move to the context, isn't it? Because constitution is greater than the sum of its parts. That is called holism. And in PhD your approach should be holistic, not reductionist. Reductionist at lower levels when you start, okay? And incrementally you have to go, and your approach should be holistic. And for that, what level of integrity you should maintain? What are the ethical standards that you are required to do it? In the beginning I said, research is pursuit of truth. Truth is an absolute value, like justice. Now, when it is absolute value, can your approach be relativist? Or should your approach be absolute? Can you say 80% of the research scholars are doing plagiarizing research, copy, paste, tuck, why not I? Okay, because I'm required to get a degree in 3 years. Okay. Even 3 years is an elephantine gestation period. We have patience to wait. Therefore, I will adopt cut-and-paste culture. Okay. Now that is one approach. But because majority of the people are doing it. But truth is truth, even if one supports it. Even the lone Casabianca, like standing on a burning deck, supports a cause. A lie does not become a truth because of majority. Therefore, you cannot sail with the wind. You must always remember that kite flies high, which flies against the wind, not along with the wind. The kite which flies along with the wind will stop at a particular level. Therefore, make a distinction between the immediate and the distant. Remember, don't fall for the bait of immediate. Look at the distant object. Justice would become a casualty. Truth would become a casualty. Adopt this. Isn't it? Very difficult. Because philosophers say that in life you have two choices. Choices between doing the right thing and the convenient thing. It's always easy to choose and do a convenient thing. Okay. Very easy. Okay. Join the mainstream, do the convenient thing. That which separates the ordinary from the extraordinary is your attitude, which makes you choose the right thing and not the convenient thing. Which makes you choose the right thing. Come what may, I will not compromise. No. Because after all I am pursuing truth. Isn't it? Very difficult. But it appears difficult in the beginning, remember. As long as you have pebbles in your shoes, it becomes difficult. Now without removing the pebbles, you can never conquer the mountain. Do you agree with me? The mind will receive new ideas. But the only problem is, our mind is so ramified with the old ideas, it is difficult to take new ideas. Correct, no? It has reached the saturation point. Remember, it's ramified with old point. Okay? Therefore, decongest your minds with your attitudes. Okay? Because you are going to be a role model. Now, tomorrow, when your son or grandson asks you, what is this doctorate? I am reminded of Kushal Singh's wonderful joke on honorary doctorates. He was conferred an honorary doctorate by Delhi University. Kushal Singh's grandson asked him, Grandpa, what is this honorary doctorate you got? He said, nothing. It's like your grandmother calling me master of the house. It's like your, okay, grandmother calling me the master of the house. Now, any honor that you get will cease to be an honor once you are required to defend it or explain it. You please remember that. Any honor, any prefix you get it, will cease to be a prefix once you are required to explain it. People must know, yes, he deserves that. Right. This is the toil he has done. And that is what is required. And remember, Mr. S. Prakasa in his introductory remarks said, in spite of my busy time, I was immediately reminded of C.K. Prahalad, Coimbatore Krishnarao Prahalad, in a management teacher, telling him, at the bottom of the pyramid he has written the book. Okay. He says, in a chapter called Time Management, it is only a busy person who finds time. How wonderful he puts it. It is only a busy person who finds time. If somebody says he is not able to find time, that means he is not able to organize time. You are a lazy man. And Chancellor gives excellent example. Lot of vice chancellors, Ph.D. scholars, a mother at home. And he says, How does a mother find the 25th hour in the day? Look at the word he uses. How does the mother find the 25th hour in the day to look after the needs of the entire family? All of you must have got experiences, okay? The figure of your mother must be appealing, okay? A reception is something. You should not say, oh, I am busy, or my Chancellor is giving me administrative work. He will give you, he has to. He has to find out how resilient you are, okay? Please always remember, successful people build their inner world. Unsuccessful people blame the outside world. Always remember that. Okay, that all perfectly valid and justified. Okay, you can come out with 1,000 LBs for not doing a thing, but you must have the wherewithal to overcome that and prove that you can do it. By maintaining the highest levels of integrity. And now I come to the crisp definition of integrity has been. Integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is watching. Integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is watching. And supervisor is watching. If you are doing something, you are afraid of the policeman. Isn't it? In fact, a good teacher is one who has maximal authority and minimal power. A good supervisor is one, by looking at you with the eyes, he must be able to translate it. Psychological, maximal authority, but nowadays the situation is otherwise. Maximal power and minimal authority. And therefore, remember, integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is watching. And Mahatma Gandhi said, integrity is doing the right thing, and it is the coherence between what you think, what you say, and what you do. The coherence between what you think, what you say, and what you do is integrity. With all my experience and knowledge, my grandson opened my eyes when he asked me. He was reading English proverbs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A stitch in time saves 9. What cannot be killed must be endured. And came, honesty is the best policy. That fellow came and asked me, I want to go for the better policy and not the best policy. You are saying honesty is the best policy. So, I don't want best policy, I want to go for the better policy. That means I will not be honest. I did not think. Then I said, you are right. We are teaching a wrong lesson to you. We must teach honesty is the only policy. When you are saying honesty is the best policy, you will immediately say, all cannot settle for the best. You have a good policy. Maybe UGC therefore said 30% the games. I always, in the meetings I usually say, what is this 30%? Is it hypo-fabric discount? If you go to a cloth shop, you will say 10% discount. That means you are inadvertently, indirectly saying, in India, even thinking is a discount. Correct? Na? That means 30% allowance will give you. 20% allowance will give you. See, now, if you want it to be full, big cut. Okay. Therefore, of course, giving to commas, inverted commas, all those technicalities they are taken to consider. I understand whether in a meeting. But my policy is when you look at ethical aspects, don't compromise. It is not difficult at all. Mahatma Gandhi, if you have studied his book, My Experiments with Truth, he says, I have not lost anything. especially my soul, when I maintain the highest levels of ethics in my profession. See, people may say, I have lost money, yes, but I have not lost my soul. So, never sell your soul. Think about Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus, you have heard about it? People teaching contracts. There is a type of contract called Faustian contract. Read about it, Faustian contract. What happens is, that's a very interesting play. There was an ambitious doctor. He wanted to rule the world. Okay. Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. You can note it down.
Former Vice Chancellor.
Yes? Yeah. I can continue? So, see, Marlowe's Faustus, of course it's from Goethe's Faustus. Faustus enters into a contract. With whom? With the devil, Mephistopheles. Because he wanted to rule the world. Okay? And the terms of the contract are, the devil says, yes, I'll make you the ruler of the world. For 24 years, you will rule the world. But after 24 years, you must give away your soul to me. You must give away your soul to me. He said, oh, 24 years I can rule the world. He enters into contract. Okay, offer the acceptance consideration with the devil. 23 years, 11 months. Okay. Then 29 days, 23 hours will be over. Only 1 hour will be left. That's called the famous last scene in the drama. Then he thinks about the tormenting of the soul. What have I done to have my soul? Now you have only 1 bare hour to live. But please continue. Now this is called Faustian contract. F-A-U-S-T-I-A-L, Faustian contract. Now, so when research without ethics is soul's petition, P-E-R-D-I-T-I-O-N. Research without ethics is soul's petition. So, that hurts your soul, that hurts your conscience. And Prof.R.Venkata Bakshi beautifully says, because most of us are enamored of Bakshi, he is a legend, let me tell you. The difference between Bakshi and other scholars is like the difference between Sachin Tendulkar and other batsmen. We can only be jealous of them, we can be envious of them. Nobody can match his wisdom. And Prof. Bakshi says, I quote, in research, what matters is the pursuit of one's chosen area, whatever area you choose, with 4 things. He calls 4 C's, alphabet C. Alphabet is C. Number first C stands for clearly. Second C stands for consistently. Third C stands for cogently. Fourth C stands for conscientious. C-O-N-S-C-I-E-N-T-I-O-U-S-L-Y. Now that's the disadvantage with technology. Technology is always okay. Anyway, 4 C's. Clearly, consistently, cogently, and conscientiously. And these 4 C's of research would constitute the essence. Research fails where feeling for life fails. Research fails where feeling for life fails. That's the reason why people always refer Portia character in Matilda Venice in Shakespeare's Matilda Venice, where she says, justice will become a casualty if you have only a functioning brain and not a functioning heart. How beautiful she puts it. Justice will become a casualty if you have only a functioning brain and not a functioning heart. When Shylock demanded his pound of flesh, yes, because the poor fellow could not, I don't want to, yeah, of course I could, your body language I could understand. I don't want to introduce that Bassanio, Antonio, all sorts of characters, Portia, okay, so when Shylock wanted it, like the Curzon individual that he was, Portia came out with the argument, you can take it without a drop of blood. And that's what you mean the functioning heart. That means the human element in law is important, but the humane element is more important. Humane element is very important, please remember, when you are doing research. Humane element is important. And your approach should be never unidimensional. That's what the research methodology teachers will tell you. A research scholar is supposed to maintain value neutrality. You must have heard about this word. You must be neutral, okay. Value neutrality means you should not have any prejudice. That's all. You should not have any prejudice. And your approach should be multi-dimensional. Look at the example of Amartya Sen's idea of justice. That's the best example you can give. When he says if you would like to do research in the pursuit of justice, you have to move from text to context by looking at those three characters called Anne, Bob and Carla. And for the benefit of those who have not heard of it, I would just like to give you a quick recap, as the cricket commentator would say, in a couple of minutes. Okay. Amartya Sen asked the question, what is justice, in his book Idea of Justice, and makes a wonderful observation. It is very easy to say what is injustice. It is very easy to locate what is injustice. Everyone will say, oh, this is injustice, sir. But the Vice Chancellor asks you, tell me what is justice, then you don't have answer. You have to do it, sir, with your experience. Because you yourself, you are not able to identify what is that. You can look at what is injustice. And he gives you the example of Anne, Bob and Carla. What is that example? They have a bamboo flute. Okay, that is displayed. And these three come. We are the judges. The reality show. The first one says, I was born in a marginalized family. I did not have access to any of the good things in life. So, birth is an accident. I come from deprived sections, disadvantaged sections. So, give me this bamboo flute, I play it as a toy. Okay. The whole class said, yes, she deserves it, sir. She didn't have any access to any of the things. After all, every time people say, access, availability, affordability, all these words are used regularly. Okay. The whole class says, she is right, we'll give something else to the first girl. Give this flute to her. Amartya says, stop, I come to the third one. The third girl says, I have sympathy with both. One is deprived, the other one has made it. But the point is, neither of them know how to play the flute. I am favorite disciple of Hariprasad Chaudhary. If you give me the flute, I will become the cultural ambassador of the country. I will travel all over the world. I take the flute with me and make judicious use of the flute. The first one will play with bamboo flute as a toy, destroy it in 6 months. The second one will put it after 1 year. But I do so, you let us give something else to them. Then Amartya stops it and says, what is justice in this context? Or Michael Slater's book. You are driving on the road. Suddenly, brakes are failed. If you drive towards the right, 4 people will die. If you if you drive towards the right, 4 people will die. If you drive towards the left, 3 will die. So he drives towards the left. Only 3 died. Is it justice? Now, have you understood the implications? This is what you mean by research. Now, in order to find an answer to these tricky questions, who should be entitled to the flute or to which side you should lie, you must have an open mind. If your mind is closed, now can you give an answer? So, the first quality in maintaining ethical standards that a researcher should have is you should have an open mind. Open mind. That is what you mean by value neutrality. Okay? Don't have prejudices. Because remember, the fundamentally proven in real life, 3 things work out the best when they are open. Parachute. If the parachute is closed, it will not work. Agree? Right? Books. I purchased a beautiful book, but I never open it, so that the visitors will know that I have a book with me. So I only am aware of the covers, beautiful covers. Okay. So books also are most useful when they are open. First one is parachute. The third one is human mind. If it is closed, and Amartya says in one context says, the basic difference as to why China is progressing exponentially and India not, though India is a democracy and China is an authoritarian center. He says, Chinese society is a closed society with an open mind. Indian society is an open society with a closed mind. So many things closes. So the first quality that a researcher should have is open mind. The last point I would like to share with you is unlimited imagination. Never try to limit the unlimited imagination of your students because of your limited imagination. Have you understood my point? Because it's very easy to snub a student though you do not know. Just as a mother snubs a child you do not know when she asks the embarrassing question. Keep quiet. This keep quiet attitude has been taught to us right from the beginning, but no. So, time has now come for us to, okay. Therefore, never put fetters on the unlimited imagination because of a limited imagination. Likewise, never put fetters on your unlimited imagination because of the limited imagination of your peer group. Have you understood? Because of the limited imagination of the peer group. Your peer group would always try to psychologically demotivate you by putting limits. You must have experienced those things. Okay, and they'll be happy when they find the first salvo and they are demotivated. Therefore, for that, if you maintain the levels of integrity and the highest ethical standard, nobody can touch you, I am telling you. Remember, only when you compromise, you are giving, remember, some point of entry to them. But otherwise, they may say you are tough, but they will say you are honest. Remember, your person of integrity. Okay, let us not go there, you will say. That is the beauty of it. So, these are some of the points I wanted to share with you. There are so many things, remember. See, always permanent values are more important than temporary valuations. Permanent values are more important than temporary valuations. And in continuation of that, I will also say one thing. You can share with your students also. For students, marks will be very important. They don't expect us to solve Kashmir problem. They are expected to get 5 marks instead of 4 marks. Okay. But you must call the student and tell them, marks may be important, but the remarks are more important than marks. Tomorrow when you walk into the universe from the university, remember, you must be in a position to lift your head high. Tomorrow when you walk into the university with the Ph.D. thesis in your hand, you should not feel guilty that 90% of it has been, you have begged it, borrowed it, or stolen it from something else. See, that vision image constantly haunts you, remember, throughout. Because once you have done it, you cannot undo it. You cannot undo it. Okay. And therefore, why should you bow down your head? Remember, you must lift your head high. And that will happen when you maintain impeccable standards of integrity. Because the pursuit of truth is so noble. Remember Nelson Mandela, remember Mahatma Gandhi, remember Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear, and the head kept so high, please remember. That's very, very important. The head kept, you can keep your head high only when your conscience is clear. I'm tired, God bless you all. Thank you very much for joining.